the Secret Studio. My name is G, and I'm super excited about today's guest. Today's guest is a young mixer, producer as well, right? A lot of stuff. Dawsøn over here does a lot of stuff, works on great records out there, and I'm super excited to have him on there because we've been waiting to do this for a very long time, and we're here, and we're going to do it, and we're going to show a session take with Sandcastles. But first, before we do that, Dawsøn, give me a little introduction to yourself. Welcome.
What's up? I'm Dawson. I'm a Grammy Award-winning engineer and producer, mainly based in Las Vegas, owner of Junction Sound Studios, and yeah, that's me.
Nice. And who are the people that you've worked with? And like, what kind of stuff
Some
have you
people
worked
I've worked with, the biggest one would be Kanye West. That's who I've got my Grammy with. And I've also worked with Wanye from Boys to Men, the Baby's recording engineer. And I've worked with a lot of other people from that Donda sessions, like Kid Cudi and like Lil Yachty, and those are just a few.
I love it. And I want to touch on like kind of your journey that you've had, man, because you're still young and you're still on the kind of journey and stuff. So like, what was your first steps of when you got into music production and kind of like, because obviously now you've named some crazy names and some big names out there, but you didn't just kind of walk out the house to get to that position. It
Right.
took you a long time, and the journey's obviously been difficult.
Mm.
So what was your first kind of like step into that, or like?
My first step into it was I started off as an artist first.
Oh wow, okay.
I lived in Hawaii throughout high school, and that's when I started getting into music. And me and my friends, we would always just we would record music, and my mom was really supportive. She helped me build like a home studio, so all my friends came over after school, and like we would record music, and I was just the one who would put everything together as far as like recording and like mixing everybody. And I didn't even know like what I was doing was a thing, like this like thing that I was doing was called engineering.
Wow.
And so about the time when it was ready to graduate from high school, I started looking into like what schools I wanted to go to and like what I wanted to do. And then that's when I found like schools for like audio engineering. And then I realized like this thing that I've been doing is an actual occupation in the real world and I can get paid for it.
Wow.
And so once I found that out, I was like, yeah, like I'm all for it, you know what I mean? So I lived in Hawaii at the time, and I didn't really feel like there was a lot of opportunity out there because of just I'm from the Big Island, so it's a little smaller and secluded. It's not Oahu or Honolulu where the city is and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like there was a lot of
Mhm.
opportunity out there. So I had already, I had a difficult upbringing and everything like that. So I was already lived on my own by the time I graduated high school
Wow.
and stuff. So I had planned to move to Vegas. Um, so I did 1 year in Maui, like 1 year of
Yeah.
college in Maui, and then I was planning to move to Vegas to go to this school and like start pursuing my career as an engineer. And so that's how I got into it. I moved to Vegas, signed up with this program, and they gave me an internship. And from there, yeah, I lived on my own in Vegas, had my own studio apartment, had a job, and like I was just back and forth between work and then going to intern at the studio,
Wow.
and that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
I finished the program like 3 months in because I had prior experience and stuff. They started like handing me sessions, and like they would like sit with me while I recorded,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
eventually they just started leaving the room, and
Mhm.
like sessions would go on, and eventually they just hired me as an engineer, and I was making like $15 an hour, like just being a
Damn.
recording engineer at the studio. But I've also had a passion for like entrepreneurship since I was young. My first passion was skateboarding,
Mhm.
and I always like had a dream of opening up my own skate shop and stuff like that when I
Wow.
was a kid. And when my passion became music, I just wanted to have my own studio. And so throughout high school, I've always been uh, like I made my whole business plan like for school and stuff
Right.
based around
Yeah.
like a music studio
Mhm.
and everything like that. And then so I was set on that, and I quit my job, my 9 to 5, for the second time to pursue engineering. And I met Ness, who was my original business partner in the studio, Junction Sound. And he had a space already. It was a creative space. He had a promotions company and did events all the
Mhm.
time in Vegas. And he had a whole creative space. It was like a photo studio, a dance studio, like an art studio, and stuff like that. And they just didn't have a music studio. And
Wow.
so he offered me to, build that out with him and
Mhm.
start that. And that's when I opened up the studio, and then that's when like things really started to take off. And uh yeah,
That's a remarkable story, man.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
crazy. It's
sick to
crazy.
think
Yeah.
that you came from there, man. And how old was you when you moved out there? When you
I
was living in
was I
Maui?
was 19 when I
Wow.
moved to Vegas.
So
Yeah, and
it's
I
crazy
lived on
because
my
that
own.
you
Yeah.
could go one route or you could go the other.
Yeah. No, yeah.
which is amazing to hear, man. And so when was like your first kind of interaction with like kind of Avid products or Pro Tools or
Um,
Mboxes or anything like?
Avid, I first got into Avid through the school.
Oh wow, okay.
So through the program, yeah, they gave me a Pro Tools
Hmm.
license, and then that's when I started. And the studio I was at, they used Pro Tools too.
Right.
So it was so I just like naturally learned Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Was on FL Studio before that, and which is like the worst DAW to record in. For
Oh right, okay,
recording,
yeah,
like I
editing,
love FL for like beat making
yeah,
and like it's real quick when it comes to that, but like for specifically recording, it's just not the DAW of choice,
yeah.
you know?
Wow. Well, dude, that's amazing. I wanna, yeah, I mean, that's like a lot of inspirational advice, man.
Yeah.
And to think, now you're working with the greats, bro. You believed in yourself. You kept going. You didn't stop. I think it's amazing. So today we've got a session, bro. Thank you so much for bringing this, by the way,
Yeah.
because I know how hard it is to get songs, and bring them. So today we have Sandcastles,
Yeah.
and it's by
By Ray Vaughn.
Ray Vaughn. Yep. And we're going to be showing this. So. Can we talk about maybe like how so you got a relationship with Ray Vaughn already,
Mhm.
right? And maybe talk about kind of this song specifically, like how it came about, how you got to be working on this and stuff like that.
All right, so this song is called Sandcastles by Ray Vaughn, produced by Wallace Lane. I met Wallace Lane at a camp, Illmind and Wallace Lane camp back in like September last year, and I got along with them, and like they just kept inviting me back to the studio, and they're the ones who kind of put me in touch with Ray Vaughn. They were working on, and still are working on his project right now. So that's kind of like how I got brought into the mix and everything like that. They produced this song, and one of their engineers, Everett, recorded it. I believe one of the TD engineers recorded Absol's verse, and then they trusted me to do the mix for it.
Wow,
So yeah.
awesome, man. Bro, can we have a little listen?
I hang with a whole lot of ostriches. Using I found, I'm quick to block a bitch. I'm oozing with confidence. I might buy a continent. The golden child. Either way, I'm still a man of the house. My bitch want flowers on Valentine's Day. I told her she should start planting them now. Never watch Cosby, but I watch Bill. All them free lunches turning to meals. My brother in Orange, he wanted a pill. They opening cases, deal or no deal. My birth certificate say Silent Hill. LA County, someone bound to get killed. This shit they can't stomach. Who took diet pills? We living to die and dying to live. Bitch, had to check my dick. County checks and whip. Blew a bag in Neiman's. Fucked around and glitched. Hot sauce on my fish. New ass for my bitch. Turned up off a lick. The little homie just glitched. Hey, the little.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is sick.
Yeah, he goes crazy. Yeah.
The glitch stuff as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's insane. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so the glitch thing, which is a good point that you made. Everybody loves that effect. I get asked about that effect a
Good.
lot, and I think it's a perfect example of, just taking like what the artist says and the words and like trying to bring it into the mix realm. So
Yeah.
originally when I got the session, there was already like a flanger on that little glitch part, which was a good like I can see like where they were going with the effect.
Yeah.
And so I kept the flanger on there and I kind of just tweaked it. I made it in sync with the tempo, and then I like how the tape sounds on this flanger.
Right.
So I tweaked it a little bit, and then I also added another duplicate right here on top of it with tremolo. So tremolo is
wow,
like
okay.
it's like a I don't really even know how to explain a tremolo. It's like it dips in volume like that. So like when
Yeah.
I think of a glitch effect, I think of dropout in audio.
Right.
So tremolo kind of like gives that effect, and like it's cool because you could put it in time. So it's like the dropouts are at 64 notes. So like with both of them together,
Fucked around and glitched. Hot sauce on my fish.
just gives that like glitchy effect. And then I also did the same thing with the reverse reverb.
Wow.
Yeah, so the tremolo is on there as well, and then the tremolator, and then I have like Brower's motion on there to
Oh,
give it
this is
some like
amazing.
crazy like space. And so I love that effect. Everybody else was also like, what did you do? Everybody thinks it's like a delay or something like that, and I can see why, but it's the tremolo. It's just like like that glitchy effect, you know what I mean? So
And obviously this song is out now as well. So
Yeah,
when the artist heard it, he must have been like, "Whoa, this is pretty sick."
yeah,
Like kind of
yeah,
shocked.
yeah. He asked me specifically. He just like he wanted like it just felt like a verse, kind of like all the way through. You couldn't really differentiate the hook and the verse and stuff.
Wow.
So I think with those two effects and just like adding delay throws on the hook, kind of just gave it that separation that it needed to make it feel like
Right.
this is the hook right now.
It's good to see, like, you know, like different, like you just said, like separating the hook to the verse and actually finding techniques specifically for like a hook.
Mhm.
I think that's so good because obviously with production, you'd have like, you know, verses or there's ways to structure it. And obviously in mixing, actually, it's a good way to look at it. You don't really know. I mean, I don't even know how you could structure like hooks and verses. So that's pretty good as a technique
Yeah,
for a hook.
yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome. I was gonna ask, like, so this was not recorded by you. It was mainly done somewhere else, and obviously
Yeah.
you're just mixing, right?
Yeah, this was done with Wallace Lane. Everett was the
Okay.
recording engineer.
Okay.
Shout out to Everett and Wallace Lane. And Andrew Boyd, yeah, he recorded Absol's verse. And
Wow.
as you can see, it's just a 2-track for his vocals. So they kind of like had their mix and what they liked about it, they wanted to keep.
Yeah.
All I asked was if they could just like separate his vocal with and the reverb that they had. They originally sent it with like the reverb printed in there as well. And I just asked if they could separate it because I like what they did creatively, but I want to make it feel like they're on the same song.
Yeah.
So like one way to do that is by putting them in the same space, and reverb is a space. So I like to add like some of the same reverbs that I used for Ray Vaughn for Ab because
Right.
you want to feel like they're on the same song and everything like that. So, but they did a good job. They also they went crazy with like the beat drops and everything like that. They recorded it to a 2-track, and I had the stems, and so I basically had to recreate his drops. And so I thought it was fun because it was actually pretty challenging. Like he got super creative with his beat drops. So I think Andrew Boyd did it. So shout out to him.
Okay.
So yeah, they went crazy on like the beat drops and like I had to recreate that with the stems.
Wow. Can we hear something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
Oh, I soloed his vocal 1 second.
turned up off the lick. Hey, the little homie just glitched. Get off my dick. I'll let you thick, naked and great with your lips. I got a lot of patience, but don't keep me waiting. That ain't it. The roster is crazy, like insane Jamaicans ain't telling no lie. Got some shotters looking forward to slide. Not in the sandbox, but your block. Text went green, I thought I was black, but I was not. Nah, she was up on a yacht, making a play with an athlete on a team. I cannot say that's a hustle I cannot knock. I respect the game, bitch. Tricking and made. What more can I say? It's another glitch in the matrix. Got it out the mud and made.
Glitch back to for the
Wow.
Matrix part,
Right, right.
another glitch in the
Yeah,
Matrix.
yeah,
It just made sense and it
Wow.
felt good.
And for that technique, it was the same as the other one, where you had the flanger. And
Yeah,
the tremolo.
I just put his like vocals on the same tracks
Wow.
right there, and then let me just mute the vocals real quick. Yeah, because I had a challenge with this little part, like recreating it. It sounds simple, but like I don't know how he did it with just the 2-track. So I had a little challenge on that one, but yeah, I got it, and
Got there in the end.
everybody loved it. So
Wow.
mission accomplished there. But yeah,
Awesome.
it's a great record.
Yeah, man, it sounds great, dude, and thank you for showing us. And like I always say, like it's very hard to bring sessions in and show stuff. So no, we really appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
before we kind of wrap up, I've got like a question I want to ask you, and I like to ask people is, so obviously we're talking a lot about kind of like your journey and getting to this stage and mixing great records like this, and getting on the Grammys and stuff like that. But what is your advice to someone starting out? They want to get their first kind of music software, whatever it might be, but really young and kind of like interested in music. What is your advice towards them and about learning or anything? Nowadays we've got so much stuff on the internet, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. Like some things are oversaturated and there's so much content, or some people might see it as, oh, there's a lot of content. So what is your advice to someone?
For an up and coming engineer, like if that's actually what you're looking to pursue, which I feel like is kind of rare these days. I feel like it's hard to find people who actually just want to be an engineer these days. But like the only way to get good at engineering is to engineer, so you kind of just have to jump in whatever DAW it is that you choose, just learn it. A lot of the DAWs are pretty universal, like the concepts and everything are the same. At the end of the day, it's signal flow. It's just ins and outs, you know what I mean? So, and the only way to get good is you have to learn how to listen in a way, you know what I mean? Like you have to develop an ear. And the only way to get good at EQing is like pull up an EQ and to start EQing and like learn like the different frequency ranges and stuff like that, and like where the harshness is and like where the mud is and all that stuff. And yeah, there's no easy way around it. Like you have to have experience to be a good engineer. There's no this is how to do something, especially when it comes to music. everything is different.
Mm-hmm.
Every situation is different. So every approach is different. We might have like the same routing for everything. Like, sure, I'll route everything the same when it comes to like my kick and bass going to the same aux and all the rest of the drums going to their own aux, the music to their own aux, all the effects and stuff. Same thing with the vocals, lead aux, background aux, ad-lib auxes. That stuff kind of stays the same, but my approach is depending on what I'm hearing. You know what I mean? Like you can't just, there's no one right way to do something. Is how does it sound? You know,
Yeah.
it's like what is the information that's there, you know? Some songs are like really bass heavy, some songs aren't, you know, so it's like your approach is going to be different depending on the type of song and the type of genre it is, you know. So, and I used to feel like, you know, like as a upcoming engineer, like when I heard other engineers say that, I was like, man, they're lying. There's some secret, you know, there's some kind of
The
sauce or
practice makes
whatever.
perfect, right?
But and
Like
then I
literally.
realized like, no, like
Yeah.
that's just really how it is, you know.
I mean,
And
these days you look at videos and people are literally copying the exact compression setting and
yeah, and
like,
and sure, you might get a cool sound. It might work, but
learn to
yeah,
plug it.
you gotta
Like,
learn
how do you-
why does it work? Why does it
Exactly.
sound like that? And like
Yeah.
once you do that, it's like yeah, you unlock like another level of
Yeah.
this, you know, because you actually understand like the ins and outs and like just the space and frequencies of everything and like where everything is sitting. There's no easy way around it. Like you have to just, if you're an engineer, like start recording, you know,
Yeah.
start mixing as soon as you can. Like you got to build the experience.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much, Dawson.
Yes, sir.
It's been
Appreciate
amazing
you.
to have you here,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I'm super
Appreciate you
excited about
guys.
this
Thank you.
one. And guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next episode and we'll see you soon. Thank you.